Hello, good evening, everyone, and Happy New Year. Welcome to Sisters of Legacy. We are going to go ahead and do our intro, and we will be right back. And hello, ladies. Welcome to this new year with me. So, of course, we are the Sisters of Legacy, and we finally have our sister back. We have been missing her so much. The wonderful Tangela Terrell,
Good evening, everyone.
and we have Katrina Taylor
Hey.
and Shanetta McNair.
Hello.
All right, ladies. Thank you, ladies, for joining me. Um, as usual, I've sent the topic. So tonight we're going to talk about something I guess that maybe people don't really talk about a lot. But kind of like the way my mind is set up, a lot of times I think about things outside of the box. So I saw this video on Instagram, and it was someone talking about how we take compliments, or the fact that we don't, as a people, take compliments well. And so I was like, oh, that's something great for us to talk about, because I know as women, a lot of times, um, even though the compliments may be far few and in between, I know a lot of times we don't acknowledge the greatness that's within us as often as we should, or we downplay it, or I know, especially in the church, is oh, it's not me, it's God. And I get the sentiment, like, of course God gets all the glory, but sometimes, is it ever too much? Like, can you be, people like say be humble, can you be too humble? So I guess that's going to be the question, just to make it one little package. Can you be too humble? Like, is there a point where being humble turns into, I don't know, something else? I said, he's looking at me.
I think you brought up a good point about some of our values that we're taught in church. Um, and I know for me, I took I forget the assessment at where it was an emotional intelligence. And one of the areas where I scored the lowest in was in the area of confidence. And when I shared some of the feedback with my manager, he said, well, a lot of times when we are in the church or come from the church world, we're taught, to be humble. We're taught the principles of um, being a servant. And sometimes when it comes to having confidence, or we're moving in other sectors, sometimes we take that mentality with us. It's, don't look at me, it's not me. And sometimes other people don't have a problem with, yeah, I did it, I appreciate it, thank you for the compliment. So sometimes I know for me it's hard to accept compliments. It's hard, it's still a little uncomfortable. um So I can see that, and I think that link to what we're taught in church um, is a valid perspective.
Hi, Ramona. Thanks for joining us. Okay, so why do you think though, like, so in the moment when somebody's complimenting you, like initially, what's your first thought? Like when somebody say, um, okay, so you sing on the praise team, you sing in church, right? So somebody say, "Oh, girl, you sound good today." What's the first thought when you hear a compliment? What's the first thing that comes to your mind?
The first thing I think of is every note that I crack, every run that I attempted that it didn't go over good. So I'm automatically, because I think we're our own worst critics. And
Absolutely.
sometimes it's hard to just say thank you.
Right.
Or, if I felt I did a good job, then it's the cliche, to God be the glory. I'm just a humble servant. No,
Right?
no,
It's almost like, oh, don't look at me, don't talk to me,
right, right,
And I think it's that, that scripture with the pride comes before
right.
fall. Like, but my question is, and I'm not trying to, I believe the Bible, and I'm saying, some things are like interpretational. Yeah, I'm making up words. But like, is it really wrong to take pride in what you do, or have pride in who you are? You know what I mean? Like because I think sometimes the way the word pride is used
Right.
is like not used properly. But I did look up the word humble.
Mhm.
Okay, and I'm just gonna read this real quick. So the first definition said having or showing a modest or low estimate of one's own importance.
Mm.
And then it says as a verb, lower in dignity or importance, like humble thyself. And I was like, wow, like when you actually look at the definition of the word, it makes you really think of it a whole different way, because it's like the word itself is telling you you're less than, be less than whatever. So hearing that, I mean, I know we use humble, all the time. You use it, and we use a lot of words, and we don't really think about what the written meaning of them are. So just hearing that, what does that make you think, or what does that make you feel?
I feel like it hearing the definition put together that way, it kind of makes you say, "Oh, whoa!" Like that's like almost the opposite of what we're teaching our kids, for example, or the opposite of like you tell your kids, "Be proud of who you are."
Right.
I'm proud of you. Like I'm proud of what you're doing. Like we use the word, but I think when it's put together in that form, it does make it sound like, ugh, that's not so good. Because I think when I think about it, I think about humility, being more so of not making yourself um important in a negative light or like in a manner like, look at me, look at all that I've done. Um versus, being able to receive someone complimenting you on something. But I don't think it's just the church. Honestly, I think it's three things and I think I can say this here. If I can't, I'll get in trouble when we get off air. I think it's church, I
Yeah.
think it's women, and I think it's our race.
Right.
And I think that
Absolutely.
all three of those things play a role in us taking that back seat sometimes and saying, oh no, it's nothing, kind of in that, I guess, sense. Because I think, of course, in church, we taught be humble, don't boast, don't be prideful, don't make yourself, to be this grandiose person. And then as women, especially women in church, we're taught, you don't want to be in the forefront, you take the back seat to your family, you take the back seat for your children, you kind of let everybody go forth and do their thing, and you just kind of orchestrate things in the background and be that nice little happy, quiet homemaker. And then I think that being Black women, that it's also kind of something that has become the norm to where we're not supposed to be vocal and we're not supposed to kind of be, well, because then it's almost like you're as like a Jezebel, or you're seen as, just out of order and out of line because you feeling yourself a little bit, because you feel, because like you accept a compliment because so I think it's kind of that combination of things where we just kind of take that back seat naturally, because it's like you don't want to be looked at the wrong way because you're too, I guess, accepting of, compliments and great things about you.
Okay. Trina?
I think sometimes when you hear a compliment, sometimes you take it because you feel like you really didn't work for it. And what I mean when I say that is that sometimes things come naturally to you. So when you do something well, it's easy for you. Somebody say, "Oh, you did a good job." You're like, "What?" I just, you know what I mean? So you don't feel worthy sometimes of the compliment because you don't work hard for it. But some things come naturally to you. Quick example. Today, I go in my son's room. He has the certificate for the honor roll thrown on the floor. I'm like, and every year he brings them home. He don't care about them. He's like, yeah, honor roll. I'm supposed to do the same thing, and I'm all excited. I want to put it up on the refrigerator, and I'm ready to display, the honor. And they're like, but that's no big deal because the grades come easy to them. They didn't work hard to get good grades, so it's not a big deal. So sometimes, I think sometimes if you don't work hard at something, or if it comes easy to you, and somebody's giving you a compliment, then you just like, yeah, I mean, I guess, if, I guess, if you think that, and also, sometimes like you just, I said, if you do something, and like Taylor was saying, we're our own worst critic. Like my sister, we were in the studio. She just finished singing her entire face off. Producer, everybody is like, "Woo, Lord Jesus, this girl gonna talk about, I think I'm going to do that over. I'm not sure." Everybody's like, you just ushered us into the worst place before the throne. She had, and that take was like, it's on the CD right now. And she was like, "Oh no, we might need to." And I couldn't understand how she thought we could do that over when she had just sang like, so for us, it was so great. And to her, she, like was saying, she thought about like, well, maybe that run wasn't quite right, So sometimes, it's not about, I don't know if it's about being humble. It's just like you're criticizing yourself, or you do something so well, something comes easy to you that you don't feel deserving of a compliment. And I also feel that way sometimes when people say, "Oh, you're doing such a good job with your kids." And I'm like, I didn't really do that much. Maybe they just good naturally, or like, again, to God be the glory at that point. Because I'm like, God must, he came, he got them together for me. Because I'm just like, so sometimes it's just like, you don't feel like you did so much to get a compliment for it. You know what I mean?
I got you. Let's see. Ephraim said Black women are the most confident race of women. White women are most privileged.
I agree with the privilege part, but I think I encounter most of my female circle are Black women, and I do see some of that same lack of confidence. I have a sister who I think is really talented in like party decor, and it's pretty much like self-taught. She taught herself how to do it, and she'll do something, I'm like, oh my God, that is so nice, and she will pick it apart. I should have did this, that wasn't this, and this wasn't that. I'm like, no, people are asking to pay you to do this. And it's almost as if we talk ourselves out of our own gifting
Right.
because of, you know, I don't know what it is. If it's like a false sense of not a, I think it's a true sense of humility, but at the same time, we have to elevate, and give ourselves credit where credit is due.
Yeah.
And even trying to go back to, how we're taught in the Bible or in church, because even the Bible tells us that we're a royal priesthood. And I don't think there's no royalty that's going to teach their children to hold their head down. They act and carry themselves as if they are the best of the best.
Right.
The Holy Spirit gives us temperance and give us balance to understand how, we definitely don't want to walk around making people feel inferior to us, but at the same time, we shouldn't walk around as if other people are superior to us. So I think it commands a healthy balance of, I understand that, I'm not perfect, but I do a pretty good job at this. I think it's okay to say I did that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And Trina, and what you were saying, like, I get it. Sometimes like things, like I cook all the time, right? Like I like to cook. So when people be like, oh, that's good, I was like, oh, okay. Like, it's just like, I just went in the kitchen, like,
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think sometimes, that part does make totally good sense, because you don't really think about it. Like, well, I think I do, but like with other people, I'd be like, oh, okay. And then, when it's me and Anthony, I'd be like, oh man, did you taste that tonight? Like, because, like I know with him, like he knows who I am. So,
Right.
even if I'm like, oh yeah, I'm pretty great, he knows that, like I'm not trying to be snobbish or whatever. But I think sometimes with other people, I think too, sometimes we're worried about how they're going to see us. Sometimes I think that's a part of it. Women feel like their family circle has to say nice things so they don't believe when they compliment them.
Guilty.
Not in my family.
One of my kids is heavy on compliments. I have one. He's like super heavy on the compliments. And like sometimes when he's doing it, I'm like, are you sure? Like, are you serious? Like, knock it off. But like that's just his nature. He's always been like that. Like I can remember when he was little, he had this habit, and his daughter has it now, it's crazy. But he had this habit of he would see like either one of y'all, he would walk up to you and he'd be like, oh my gosh, your hair is so pretty. Now, mind you, he's messing your hair up while he's telling you how beautiful it is. But he would like go straight to touch it, like with his hands and everything. Like he would, your hair, and he's still the same way. Like I could walk in and have gotten my hair done, and he'll go, oh mom, your hair is so pretty. And I'm like, wait, don't touch me though. He's always been heavy on compliments, and it would always be like genuine or like, but he's still that way. So honestly, it's just, but it would be so hard to hear him just like dive in like that, and it would be like, okay, kid, go away. You're working on something. I don't know what you're trying to get, but
yeah,
it's the same way.
It's almost like we put like, well, I'm sure we've talked about this before, that as a woman, we put ourselves last so much, like, especially once you become a mother or, like a wife or whatever, you get so accustomed to putting yourself last, that I think it becomes second nature, that you kind of just do it in every instance. And I didn't think about the flip side of it, how other people feel, because I think sometimes it almost seems like you almost putting yourself down, and that could make like, okay, well, I was trying to tell you, you look real nice. Oh no, I'm fat, look, and you like,
yeah,
and it's like, you can make somebody else uncomfortable with that. Ephraim says, do any of you feel that you're the best at something? What area do you feel most confident in? See that here's the thing, like I said, if it was me and Anthony, this would be a whole different conversation because I feel like I'm the best at a lot when I'm talking to him. But like to answer this question in front of other people, it's kind of like you come to uh uh because
That's
like that's part of my not a New Year's resolution. It's a part of as I realize things, my goal is to work to change them. So like that's one of the things that I definitely want to work at this year. I don't know if I'm the best at. I mean, of course, naturally, there's always somebody that probably can do it better. But I think like if I had to answer, I'm pretty good in the kitchen most days, and I have a real love for hair, so I'm pretty decent on that end. I don't know because like I'm the type of person I don't like to get something wrong, and I don't like to lose. So if there's something that I start doing, I don't care if it's a dish. If he's gonna eat that dish 300 times until I work out the recipe, of how I think it's supposed to be. So like, for me, like I'll sit up. I don't care if I have to buy a book on it so I can learn how to do it. And I think that's kind of like most people. I don't know. I don't let things go.
for me. It's and I don't want to sound no kind, any kind of way. It's
Right.
hard for me to pinpoint because I feel like I'm almost kind of like universal.
Right.
I'm sufficient in a lot of things. So it's hard for me to say what do I feel I'm the best at. Now I
Right.
will say the last time I did something that I felt like, oh, this is I put together a proposal at work for this initiative that I want to do. And it took a while because I kind of had some feelings towards the project, almost as if it was kind of like creating something out of nothing. So I finally pulled it together and created a presentation. And when I looked at it, I said, oh my God, this is good. And like I sent it to my husband. I was like, oh, look at this. He don't know nothing about the content of it or whatever. And I was so excited um to show it off because I felt like I did a really good job at this. And I don't always get that feeling. Even though I may get the compliment, sometimes I internally it's kind of like what you said, oh, wasn't that good. But this one I was like, now this is you did that.
Right. Shanetta.
I would say I like as of right now today, no, I don't think that I'm the best at any particular thing. I think I'm a lot like Angela is that I'm sufficient at a lot of different things. There was a time where I felt like I was the best at a particular area that I was working in. And I think that the experience of loss kind of redirected my feelings and my whole like outlook because I kind of took a different path after the loss. So it was just kind of like, I'm good at it. And like even today, like I have a girlfriend, it was in business, and I have a girlfriend now to today, like she'll randomly call me and be like, okay, you ready to get back going? Like, yeah, that, and she'd be like, that was a little, little hiccup, little bump in the road, but we can get this thing going back because you're the best at this. And I'm like, don't want to do it again though. I'm okay. So I don't necessarily think there's anything that I think I'm the best at. But I think that I can kind of get in pretty much any pond and kind of make it work.
Trina. Is she from
Yeah,
the
so I don't know. I feel like I'm the best at anything either. Um, I don't know. Like that's kind of to say that you're the best at something. I don't know. I mean, like the other ladies, I feel like I got my household. I'm running it. I've got all these balls in the air, and that's what I'm good at. I'm good at juggling it. You know what I'm saying? I got the kids going. I got the, you know what I'm saying, my business going. I got everything going all at once. So I'm good at that. I'm confident in my ability to have it all going and keep all the sticks in the fire and make sure this is, So what is that? What is that called? Like
Jack of all trades.
I'm a good manager of my household corporation, whatever you want to call it. I'm the CEO of the Taylor Corporation over here. We'll call it that. I'm good at that.
Can I ask you all something? Do you I keep wanting to call you Sister McNair. I'm trying not to be so formal. But Shanetta, you mentioned about having hiccups. Do you all feel like a hiccup in one area causes you to lose confidence in other areas? Do you feel like sometimes that can kind of cause a blow to your confidence?
Absolutely. I feel like for me, the last 5 years have been like these extreme transitions, and it's like from one extreme to the other. It's like it's been no middle ground. So it's either great or it's horrible. And so like the moments that have been great, it's like you feel like you're flying, you feel like you're mastering it, and then you hit that horrible moment. And it's like it lays you flat out and like I'm done. I quit. I have nothing left to give. My life is over. Like all the dramatics.
Yeah.
But I do think that it can shape your confidence when you hit a hiccup, a brick wall, or whatever, the situation. I do think that it shakes your confidence and that there has to be kind of a time of rebuilding when you have a shaking like that. And for me, it took I'm pretty confident now. I think I'm pretty good now, but it took about 1.5 years before I feel like I regained some footing where I felt okay and where it was just kind of like, good, I'm okay. This is not so bad. Like that was that, but I'm okay with it. So yeah, I think it does shake you.
Hey Cheryl, blessings to you too, all the way over there in Cali. And yes, we are on Facebook, Sisters of Legacy. So I would say like for me, when one area goes down, like I find my place of comfort. So like, I've been doing hair, like my mom used to do hair. So I literally been doing hair since my hands can move. So like, if one thing is like all bad, now I'm over here, I'll call my sister, come let me do your hair. I'm taking my daughter hair out, or, I'm cutting my hair and coloring it, or, something. Cause I'm like, listen, this is my go-to. If I can't do nothing else, I can do this. Or like, I had issues before, like, your hair fall out. Like my hair fall out, and I'm like, oh my God. So now I'm in the kitchen trying new recipes, because I like to cook. So like I can't hear. Oh, on Periscope? Oh, I'm sorry. Everybody can hear me, right? Yeah, maybe Cheryl, maybe on Facebook we're coming out a little better. Hopefully Ephraim can still hear us. Ephraim, let me know if you can hear me. Yeah. So like for me, I try not to get to a point, where like just everything is wrong. Because like you said, like that can really put you out flat. So I try to grab onto something like, he come home and I be done shaved all my hair off, and he's like, what's going on? Because now you in here cutting all your hair off, like, he knows something happened. So now you're trying to, grab onto something that in my mind, I'll always be good at doing my own hair, or I'll always be good at going in the kitchen and creating something. So like for me, when one thing falls apart, I try to grab onto something else.
And I'm reminded of, I think, another show we had earlier where we talked about, this perfectionism.
Right.
And I think if I give myself a little bit more grace,
Right.
then if it doesn't meet up to this humongous standard that I have in my head, then I think it kind of, bring that back into balance. So when I do perform at a certain level and someone compliments it, then, I'm at a good place to say thank you because I'm not trying to shoot for perfection. And I think a lot of times, and I would even say a lot of Black women, we feel like we have to overcompensate and we have to overperform and we have to be 10 times better than the next. And we put a lot of pressure on ourselves that a lot of other people don't put on themselves. And, they seem just as carefree in their mediocrity. So, I think it's a combination of, having high standards for ourselves, but also reminding ourselves that, we're a work in progress, and have a little grace.
I think even in listening to you and what you just said, with the amount of pressure that we put on ourselves, I can reflect and kind of, just honestly say, I put the pressure on my kids too. It's something that I know that I've said, like, you have to work twice as hard to be half as good. Like, you have to work twice as hard to get half as much, and we, I guess, unintentionally even put that on them and have them, like, I got to do it just to, to prove that they're better than, but still. And then when they prove that they're better than, or when they prove that they're, up here in comparison to being down here, now you have to be humble. You have to kind of lower yourself and you have to, don't boast about it.
That's a lot of mental shifts.
Yeah,
that you kind of got to make.
Like, now you made it here, but don't act like you're down here.
Yeah.
Hold on, we got another question. Trina, did you want to answer? I put the question up there.
Like, for example, in the comments, Ephraim had said that he said you're a whole lawyer and a businesswoman, brag a little bit. But for me, I felt like I can't say that it wasn't a big deal, but because my experience being a lawyer wasn't like all glamorous like I thought it was gonna be, and it just turned into work, I didn't feel like, oh, I'm a lawyer. I was just like, yeah, I'm a lawyer. I'm going to work. You know what I mean? And and so sometimes people put like this, I don't know what it is about certain professions, and they put this like so when I moved out of law and over my childcare, people like, why would you do that? I'm like, is one better than the other? I mean, I don't know. I feel like I always have to explain myself, because I wanted to change careers, you know what I'm saying? And I wanted to own my own business. I wanted to do my own thing, but I always have to explain. And I feel like I shouldn't have to explain. It's what I wanted to do. And I feel good about it. And I feel like that should be enough because I feel good about my decision to be my own boss and do something that I want to do that I'm happy with, Yeah.
So Ephraim said, does the desire or interest to be the best ever appeal to you? And hold on. And then he says, I'm about to come through this phone. When do y'all celebrate yourselves? And that is a good point. And I think a lot of times that's why, as women, like, it almost seems like we just get to where we're over it. It's because we don't celebrate ourselves. And I think sometimes because we never celebrate ourselves and because we don't accept the accolades well, I think sometimes other people stop celebrating us too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, well, she don't care about this. So then they stop celebrating us. And then when everybody stops, it's like, we like, oh, well, dang.
You don't say nothing about it.
It's kind of like, oh, well, dang. and it is a problem. Because who said, like, you teach your kids, like, be the best, be great, be whatever, because I definitely, drum that into the kids. You do your best, like, that's all that matters. You don't have to do your best. If you go out and do your absolute best, that's what it is. But be your best self. And I think about that, and then when I'm like, when I've spent 6 hours in the kitchen and somebody come over, and I done made dinner and I done been sweating, for 6 hours, and they're like, "Oh, the dinner's great." I'm like, "Oh, whatever." The two don't match. It doesn't match. So I think it definitely has to start, internally. Like, we definitely internally. Go ahead, Trina.
But,
You want to say something?
but to the question of, do you have the desire or interest to be the best at something? I think you can have that desire, you can strive to that, but at the same time, you're trying to be the best at 6 things at the same time. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got to be the best mother, I got to be the best businesswoman, I got to be the best wife, I got to be the best. Okay, I might have the desire, but again, I think, and I think I quoted Michelle Obama before. You can have it all, but you can't have it all at once. You know what I'm saying? It's like you can be the best, but something else is not going to be at this highest level. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, I'm glad that I can keep it all together. I'm feeling good that I listen, I got the bills paid on time. Not only like getting the money, but I remembered to pay them on time. You know what I'm saying? You know what it is. Oh God, I forgot this. You know what I'm saying? I got the kids here on time this week. I'm running back and forth. I'm, doing it all. And when I'm doing it all, that's when I'm Superwoman to me. When I got it all, I got all the balls, I'm juggling, everything is rolling. But then when 2 balls fall, now I'm feeling like a failure because now I got these 3 things going, but now I got to hurry up and run over here and try to get these 2 things together. It's keeping it all together. You know what I'm saying? And to me, when I have it all together, that's when I'm the best. Not to celebrate myself for having it all together.
Yeah. Black women, oh my eyes. Black women are more educated and starting business than men, but y'all humble and men overdo it. Listen, I will have to say, Trina, to what you were saying, like, yeah, being able, that whole the juggling aspect again, like, that's kind of like, women. But I think sometimes, and I don't mean, and of course every situation is different, but sometimes some of them extra balls that we picked up and start throwing into the mix are of our own. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, sometimes it's stuff that we don't even have to be juggling. And you like, look, I'm juggling 13 balls. And it's like, but you don't have to juggle all 13. You know what I'm saying? You could have just been juggling your 9. You picked up 4 just to show up. I think sometimes we get into that do everything mode. You know what I mean? So, like, we picking up extra stuff and juggling it. And then, Ephraim, to answer your question, when that whole the interest to be the best ever, listen, honestly, anytime I set out to do something, it doesn't matter whether it's something at the church, it's something with the kids' school, or even when I set out to do my do hair or whatever it is. Like, when I go into it, like, I go into it to do the best hairstyle. It's like, I'm going to do my best version of this every time. So I think we always strive to be our best, your best, at whatever we do.
Right. And that's what I was going to say, Trina. Right. And I think what we have to be careful of is competing against your best. Right. Because you may have a different set of circumstances and tools. And if I'm trying to compete against being better than somebody else, then I'm going to fall short every time. But I think if we're more concerned with, like you said, Sam, doing our best, then that being, we are already sufficient. God has already approved us. He's affirmed us. He wants us. So that need to, get that affirmation we already have. But living out, I'm going to try to be the best mother to my kids that I can be. I'm going to try to be the best wife to my husband that I can be. But that doesn't mean that I'm looking at, well, she cooked 3 meals a day for her husband and she get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I may not do that.
Right.
And he may not require
Okay.
that. But I think if we're looking within us and really, seeking who we are and what abilities that we have and then bring that to the surface. I think for me, it's not so much wanting to be the best, but I want to put my best foot forward. So if I have to put my name on something or if I have to do something, I want to make sure that I'm representing who I feel that I am, so.
I literally just told my husband a couple of days ago, we were talking, it was kind of like a mom comparison conversation. And I was comparing myself to a friend of mine who's also a mom. And I was like, well, man, if I'm supposed to be doing all that she's over there doing, I'm doing this thing all wrong. Like, I need to get my whole life together. And we just kind of laughed. And I was like, there is no way that our kids are similar in age, but we've heard the term helicopter moms. And like, she is involved in everything. Like, she knows everything. Like, she knows, like, and I mean, like, there's a certain level of knowing that I have that, I'm nosy. I'm a nosy mom. Like, I'm going to go through your phone. I might come look in your room. Like, this is my house. I'm going to go. But she's like on a whole other level. Like, she know, like what friend is dating what other friend and what friend, like who had an argument and like everything. I'm like, am I supposed to know all that kind of stuff? Because I barely be remembering these little kids' names if they don't belong to me. I'm doing this so wrong. And he was like, no. I know that kid, but I don't know his name. And she'll know their name, their mama name, and who they talking to, who they dating, and like everything about these kids. And I'm like, she knows too much. But it was kind of like that. And I was like, maybe I'm just doing it all wrong. Maybe I don't care enough. Maybe I'm not involved enough. And he was like, no, you're doing good. But it was a lot to me. And I was just like, I don't know. But I think that we kind of look at ourselves and we rate ourselves next to other people.
Yes.
And when we do that, you'll fall short every time because you don't know what kind of facade they're putting on to make it look like they're doing this great and living on this level, and then they're going home to something that's completely the opposite of what they're portraying out in public. And I think that we have to learn that we're our own competition. I should only be trying to outbest myself. So the next personal best doesn't need to be in beating the woman next door. It more so needs to be improving upon what I did the last time and getting better at whatever I'm working on, whether it's something professionally, whether it's something within my family and connections and relationships with family, or whether it's something with my girlfriend group or my friends or whatever. It just, it's it's just, you can't compare yourself on that level. You have to just kind of, try to outbest yourself and not anybody else.
And it's funny that you mentioned that analogy because Shanetta, I will probably put you as that example mom.
Girl,
but it's interesting to hear that you had that, and that goes to show how you can get in trouble by making assumptions about people. I would think that you would probably be something like, man, I will want to do it like that, or I think you set a good example for mothers. So it's interesting that you and your husband had that conversation.
Thank you. I'll take the compliment.
There you go, girl. See? That's the first step. That's the first step. So Ephraim said, do y'all feel celebrated for what y'all accomplished? And how can we better support? So I'm assuming that we would mean men. So do you feel celebrated for your accomplishments? And how can we be better? How can men better support? He said, right, be your own competition. Anybody want to answer that question? So do y'all feel celebrated for what y'all accomplished? Trina, so right. So you started a business. Do you feel celebrated for starting a business?
By who?
Celebrated anybody at this point.
By my family and my girls, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They definitely supported or whatever. I don't know. There's some people though. I don't know. Okay. This is kind of off topic, but not really.
Okay.
Okay, so online dating. So I met a couple people, right? And I feel like some men, don't laugh at me, Sam, we'll talk later. But some men, I guess I don't want to say intimidated or whatever, but I feel like there's a kind of a little side put down sometimes when it comes to I don't know what kind of men these crazy men are, but sometimes when I meet people, they like I feel a put down, like they're trying to find a way to put me down. Like this one guy I met online, and he's telling me, "Well, what do you do for the community?" I just met you, like this always like a little side put down, and I'm just like,
right.
So no, I don't feel supported or celebrated in that way. But yeah, my family and my girls, yeah, absolutely. I feel supported and celebrated in that way.
Okay. So Shanetta, do you feel celebrated for what you accomplished?
I would say yes. I do. I think that my family, my kid, a couple of my kids actually, they say that, and I take it as kind of a compliment, but they say that we've kind of set the bar high for them. So they know they have to kind of reach and they have to kind of work to kind of get across that bar to get past it. And we were just talking to 3 of them tonight on the phone. We had like this whole fam call thing happening tonight that oddly happened. It lasted for like 3 hours. It was crazy.
Oh,
yeah, it was really crazy. But we were just talking with the kids, and as we were talking, they were actually talking about like just trying to rank each other and trying to like who was the best kid and who was the best at these different things. But they talked about the accomplishments. So I would say yes, like just listening to them and listening to how they talk about us, about me. I do feel celebrated in the things that I have accomplished. And it feels good because like you don't know that they're paying attention to certain things, and then like it just comes out of nowhere. You're just kind of like, oh my God, they've been watching this whole time.
Right.
So that I would definitely say yes, I feel celebrated. What was the second half of that?
it was how can we? So I guess how can I'll say Elder McNair better support you? I guess.
I think he does it for him individually. He does a good job at supporting anything that I'm pushing towards and anything that I desire to do. He did a really good job when I did when I started out and did the whole business thing. He was really good and supportive because like I probably would have left me in the midst of that. Like I probably would have been like, dude, yeah. But he does a really good job at being supportive of any of the weird things that I decide to try.
Okay. Yeah, Elder McNair, I wasn't really trying to call you out, but I didn't want to ask her how can men be supportive of her. So I had to make it personal. I don't want you to think I was trying to call you out. So Tangela, oh Lord, now it's the battle of the men's. Right? Listen, it's not fair. My husband is service. He can't say I'm the bomb now. No, so Tangela, so do you feel celebrated for your accomplishments?
In some areas, in some areas, I feel the most celebrated at home.
Okay.
I feel the most celebrated at home, and sometimes I'm learning how not to take that for granted. I have two daughters, and sometimes they, especially the oldest one, she's always all over me, and I even noticed that she tries to do things like me. Like I like to journal, and and she asked for one for Christmas. So she's, she has her little organization. She likes to, to pretty much like mimic, the things that I do. And so those days where I don't feel that good about myself, it definitely helps to know that I have a group of people who just thinks the world of me. And my husband, I don't know if I could handle any more support. He literally and that's what he was talking about. He said sometimes you feel like your family has to compliment you, and we've had that discussion before. And sometimes I'll say, well, you just gotta say that, you my husband, but he supports and compliments. When I do make certain accomplishments or make certain strides. And I'm thankful for that, because sometimes this world can be kind of cold, so to have somebody, a group of people who is just like waiting for you to come home, like, oh yes, you are who we've been waiting for, it does, it helps the those bad moments to pass.
Yeah,
That's true.
Okay. Yeah, those are some pretty great. I want to make sure I miss no questions over here with the husband parade going on. See, I'm a little petty tonight because my husband ain't here. Now, man. So, okay, so I think we all kind of maybe recognize some areas where we could, maybe tweak a little bit, as far as accepting accolades and whatever. But I guess I have a question. So I know we're talking about the deficit and how we accept accolades and compliments. But how are you with complimenting other women? Like, what's that like, Trina?
I don't have a problem. Like especially girl, if your hair looking cute and you got some nice shoes, I'm gonna let you know, like, girl, the shoes, the eye makeup, the hair. You know what I'm saying? And especially if a woman is walking in confidence, I love it. I love it, and I certainly will give a compliment. And I won't say nothing if if you're just not looking right. I just don't say nothing.
So, is it about in your experience? Has it been received well? Is it generally received well when you compliment a woman, or do you see the same thing?
Yeah, like, but like with my friends, if I'm like, girl, that's a cute sweater, it won't be like, oh, thank you. It's like, girl, I went down to Marshalls, I got it for 50% off. You know what I'm saying? We don't just say thank you.
Right.
Yeah, so most you'll get that, or even if I compliment a woman on her eye makeup, be like, girl, I did it myself. I messed up 3 times, but I got it together. I guess that's accepting, but yeah, I hear the same thing, like kind of a downplay in the acceptance of it. Yeah.
So, Tangela, how are you at giving out compliments?
I try to be intentional about giving compliments and really celebrating other women, because I know how it feels to kind of question and doubt yourself. So I try, as much as I'm presented an opportunity to, to really help build, someone else up. But it's usually met with the same that Trina mentioned, like a downplay of the compliment. It's usually not met with the, thank you, I appreciate that. It's usually kind of almost let me give you a compliment back. Let me tell you why I don't deserve it. I did this, that, or whatever. But I try to be, and I'm trying, and hopefully I'll be more intentional about building other people up and making a concerted effort to really speak life.
Shanetta.
I think I love to give compliments, especially always when it's genuine. I don't want to. I'm not gonna just make up stuff to like
Right.
compliment people on. But I definitely, because I think for me, when you see something good, you should acknowledge it. When you see something that looks nice, someone that's carrying themselves well, you should say, even if it's just a smile and a nod, like, you should kind of give them that, because I feel like we could kind of use more of that. We can kind of use more of the gentleness, the kindness, the just hearing something nice. And I mean, I think that comes a lot too from working with kids, because you constantly, you want to give kids compliments because you want to build them up, and you kind of want to, get them to that place where they have that confidence. And I mean, like, a kid will bring you something that just looks horrible. Like they done made something at school out of macaroni and
Right.
like glue, and you're like, oh, this is so amazing. And I'm literally the parent that has kept everything, kind of a hoarder, pack rat slash thing happening there. But because the kids made it, and because, like, so I'll go in a box. I can go in any random box in my garage right now, and I promise you I can pull out something that every kid has made in kindergarten. And the baby is a senior now. So, that's a long time, right? So, but I was that parent that celebrated all of those little things that they brought home. And I would just like, oh my goodness, like, look at what you did. This is great. This is wonderful. So I was the refrigerator mom. So just knowing that, like, even just naturally, just being out with other people, if I see something that just catches my eye, or something that I know you should be proud of, like whether it's you started a business, oh my goodness, congratulations. I know that's a lot of hard work. Like, congratulations, like you've done it. And you may be feeling like this thing is falling apart, but I want to celebrate with you, because like I know what it takes to get to that place and to be in that position. You got a new job. Let's celebrate. Like, it's your birthday. Happy birthday. Like, what we doing? Like, what we eating? Like, so you kind of want to give people those compliments and celebrate moments with people. Just to kind of let them know that what they're doing is good. So
Okay, as usual, you see your husband is always acting up in the comments, Tangela. So I get that stuff off my refrigerator, please. You had a question. Do you receive more compliments at church or work?
I mean, that's kind of hard. Well, I mean, right now we not.
Well, yeah, naturally.
Everywhere.
I guess he's, in the past. Have you received more
But I
compliments?
mean, in the church, I think we kind of build a culture of love and support. So I think it's been my experience that the church is a kind of place of support and showing that love and appreciation more so than the workplace.
Shanetta?
I would say a combination of both. It's kind of a little bit even for me. I have had some pretty good work experiences where I've had some really good supportive people. I'll say 100% sure right now, my work environment is very supportive. It's like almost scary supportive. Like, I'm just like, okay, when they gonna snatch the rug from up under me because they being too nice. Like, I just, I don't understand. Like, why y'all being so nice? Like, why do y'all have all the compliments? I don't think I'm that great. Like, why do y'all like me so much? But it's good to be, after having a bad experience, it's good to be in a place where you feel celebrated and you feel like, you're getting those compliments for the good work that you're doing. So for me, even though we're not face to face in church, I still kind of like get it on the back end where, like, I might post a picture and like 5 people in church are going to comment on the picture. And I'm like, they're so sweet. That picture is horrible. They're so sweet. And, then at work too, you got to get the same thing too. So I think both.
All right. Trina, well, see, I already know your answer. Because you go to church and sit in the back so you can leave first and don't have to talk to nobody. No, okay, Trinity, you want to answer?
Yeah, I don't really talk to anybody, but the parents are very they compliment a lot. And they're very supportive of what I'm doing, and I had they gave very nice Christmas gifts.
Oh, nice.
I have great parents.
Your husband is very, very messy tonight. Has the support, love, and compliments been genuine though?
We're gonna say yes. Because I'm trying to figure out where he's going with this.
Me too.
I think there are some people that are not genuine in church and at work.
Right.
I think that we all run into people that you kind of know, like, I think when people are not being genuine. You like kind of like, somebody will say something, you're like, oh, you're trying to be funny. Okay,
Yeah.
I see. Okay, whatever. And you kind of keep it moving.
Yep.
But I think who those people are. And yeah, like I've had someone in church to like kind of like give like the compliment. And I'm like giving them the side eye, like, oh, you trying to be funny. Like, you trying to be smart right now. And I'm not going to go there with you. Like, I really don't want to do this because we at church. So, like, I'm not going to play with you like that. And I need you to stop playing with me like that, too, because, like, that's not good. Like, it's not going to be good for either one of us, mostly you, if you don't stop playing with me. But, I mean, I think you experience people that are not genuine. Of course, in work, because, I mean, that's work. But it's there in the church too.
I think that's definitely a fair assessment. I mean, wherever you go, people are people, so you're gonna have a mix of people everywhere you go. It's just the way the world works. So I think you're kind of gonna get a mix of both. But like you said, Shanetta, you definitely know, you kind of generally know who is saying stuff to say it, as opposed to those people who really mean it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, thank you, ladies, for tonight. We thank everyone in the comments. We thank you for your questions, for your support, for tuning in. Of course, every conversation that we have, the goal is just to get your mind going, get your wheels spinning, and let you really kind of take a look at yourself and see where you are in the spectrum of things. Because nothing changes outwardly until we make changes inwardly. So, if you start with yourself and you make a change and then you approach other people in a different, in a different way, it kind of spreads. It may be a slow spread, but it definitely, gets spread. Thank you, Ephraim. We appreciate the compliment.
Thank you.
But thank you guys. We really appreciate it. We want to kick off this new year with a conversation that kind of makes everybody just pause for a short minute and think, do I do that too? So hopefully this was one of those conversations that you're able to take and kind of tuck away. And the next time somebody say, "Oh, girl, you cute," we can be like, you know what? I am cute today. Thank you. And leave it at that. So, as always, thank you. We can never thank you enough. We'll be back next Tuesday at 8:30. And until then, enjoy your evening.